It's marathon season. A lot of you are going to be running marathons this season, and that means many of you are going to be doing tune-up half marathons. Today's episode of Q&A with Coach is going to talk all about whether or not you should taper before that tune-up half. Welcome to episode 24 of Q&A with Coach. I'm your host, Jason Fitzgerald, and today we're taking a question about what you should do before a tune-up half marathon during your marathon training. Now, today's question comes from Kevin, and he asks, I'll run a tune-up half marathon 4 weeks before my marathon. Do I semi-taper for that one? Like 3 to 4 really easy days? Or do I keep the same mileage like I would do if it was just another long run on Sunday? This is a great question, and as always, the answer is somewhere in the middle. So it kind of depends on what your goals are for that particular race. Now, traditionally, if it's not your goal race, you don't want to do a full taper before a tune-up race. But here's a general guideline. If the tune-up race is long, and I would say anywhere from 10K or up, it is beneficial to do a semi-taper. And what that really means is anywhere from 1 to 3 extra easy days before the tune-up race that you would normally do. So, if you may take an easy day before your long run on Saturday, and instead of that long run, you're going to be doing a half marathon tune-up race, then, maybe instead of just an easy day on Friday, you do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday easy, or Thursday, Friday easy. Now, this strategy helps you really prioritize the overall training that you're doing before the marathon, because you don't really want to take 2 weeks of super easy running before you do your tune-up half. But at the same time, you really do want to see what you're capable of achieving in that tune-up race. There's a lot of benefits to running a tune-up half before a marathon. You get a really good benchmark of your fitness. You get to practice the skill of racing. It's really important to teach your brain how to push itself really hard and deal with a little bit of suffering that comes with running a race at your 100% effort. And of course, just the experience of going through a big race. You have to wake up early. You have to make sure that your breakfast is dialed in. You need to practice fueling during a half marathon, warming up beforehand. All of these things are very specific, and making sure that you have a tune-up race before your marathon gives you a little bit of extra experience going through that whole routine on race day. Okay, so we know that there's benefits, many benefits, to running a tune-up half before your marathon. And we know that typically a slightly longer easy schedule before your tune-up half is a good idea, somewhere around 1 to 3 days. But we're talking about a semi-taper. What does a real taper look like? Typically, a normal taper before a race is anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, and there's a reduction in total volume or mileage, and you're essentially maintaining or slightly increasing the intensity during that taper. And what this does is really help you be 100% ready to run at your best for your goal race. You want to be fit, you want to feel fast, you want to be well rested, and you want to be sharp. Your body should be primed to perform at your best for your goal race. You're not going to be primed for a tune-up race, and that's okay because it's not your A race. It's not your goal race. A tune-up is there because of all those benefits we talked about earlier. Just going through those motions, executing a good pacing strategy, and really seeing what kind of fitness you're in at this stage of the game before your marathon. So generally speaking, the longer the tune-up race, the longer your semi-taper beforehand. If you're training for 5Ks and 10Ks and you have a 5K tune-up, and with a 5K tune-up, you probably likely have 2, 3, or maybe even 4 tune-up races before your goal 5K. Now in this example, you probably don't want to taper at all. You could just train straight through the first 1 or 2 5K tune-ups, and then maybe you rest a little bit for the last couple and before a normal taper before your last 5K goal race. Now this strategy really helps you train through fatigue and learn to race while you're not 100% fresh, and that's a valuable skill that I think all runners should develop over time. And it does shift the focus a little bit towards the final couple tune-up races. And this really helps, keep getting your times down in those 5Ks to give you a little bit more confidence so that ultimately when you run your goal race, you'll be in the best possible position to run your fastest race. So that's an example of a very short tune-up or the strategy that you would take before you would race a 5K goal race. Now, what if you were running a 100-mile ultramarathon and your tune-up race is a 50-mile ultramarathon? Now, in this example, because of the sheer distance of the tune-up race, you have to treat it almost like a goal race. You have to rest substantially beforehand, and you must prioritize recovery after that. And I'm not going to go into exactly how you would structure all that, but the general rule that you should understand is the longer the tune-up, the longer that semi-taper beforehand, and the more you have to prioritize recovery after that tune-up race. So Kevin, what I'll tell you is take a couple extra easy days before your tune-up half, but other than that, you can play with a few other variables. It's not all mileage-based. You can reduce intensity. You can reduce the quality of your, say, your strength training session. So if you normally lift on Wednesdays, maybe you don't lift on Wednesdays if you have a Saturday race, and that's going to help you feel a little bit more fresh a few days later for your tune-up. So there's intensity, there's strength work, there's also cross-training. If you're doing a lot of cross-training, swimming, pool running, cycling, elliptical, anything like that, these are other things that you can cut out of your training to feel more rested before your tune-up race. And so what we're seeing here is that there's many different things that you can adjust that week before the tune-up race to feel at your best. There's mileage, intensity, cross-training. You could also go the other route and simply get some extra sleep, reduce stress from your lifestyle during that week. You can't quit your job before your tune-up race, Kevin, but hopefully you can somehow reduce stress during that week so that you're feeling a little bit better on race day. And these are all the strategies that you can take to help yourself feel your best on the day of your race so that you can hopefully perform as best as possible. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 24 of Q&A with Coach. This was a blast. We have our 25th episode, which I think is a big milestone, coming up next, and I hope you'll tune in for that. If you'd like your question answered on the show, just shoot me a line on Twitter. My handle is JasonFitz1, and just use the hashtag #RunQuestion. Looking forward to seeing your questions, and run strong.